Yeah, so as Sanjeev said, I was here last year on this stage, and I was talking, and I looked back at the title of my talk, and it was the AI-powered product discovery. So obviously, I like AI-powered as a title, but I'm here, frankly, to talk about the exact same topic, but fast forward a year and really start talking about the impact that AI is having on product management and how it is accelerating. So this was the wake-up call. Claire Vu is the Chief Product Officer of LaunchDarkly. She is the founder and creator of ChatPRD. She wrote a blog back in October 2024 that basically said, product management as we know it is over. AI is already dismantling the role faster than many of us expected. If you're in product management, don't be surprised by this. Your job now is to adapt faster than the changes are happening. This caused quite an uproar because Claire's well known in the product management community, and this created all sorts of other blogs that, as a response to this, as to whether they agreed with her or not. But you know, it created a lot of angst because, oh my goodness, if you're in product management, where are you pivoting and what do you need to do next? So I was actually hired as Vice President of Product Management at Dell Tech many years ago, and I walked in to lead a very, very talented team of, I'll put in air quotes, product managers. They were the best people in the company who had been out in the field. They had been implementing the solutions for customers. They knew the product inside and out. They knew the customer base inside and out, and I was hired as their leader to come in and teach them how to be product managers, because they had never done it before. So I came in with my whole bag of tools and frameworks and processes and procedures to teach them how to write PRDs, how to create compelling roadmaps that were tied to company growth goals, how to actually use frameworks like Moscow to prioritize what was in the backlog. And I actually hired Marty Kagan to come in and do a training course for Dell Tech way before Marty was the star he is in the product management community. But the reality is, fast forward to today, that all those things that I was actually going out and teaching the team to do are becoming commoditized because AI can do this. AI can create your PRDs now. AI can can basically apply frameworks like RICE and Moscow to prioritize your backlog. AI can create compelling roadmaps and adapt those roadmaps faster than I could when I was doing it manually. So, quote from Marty, from one of the blogs he most recently wrote is, the question is not whether the tools can automate tasks. The question is whether this will create successful products. So how are you going to harness AI to unlock true value? So product managers must shift their focus from the routine tasks, because AI is going to take over those mundane, low-impact product management tasks that used to, frankly, suck up 80% of your time. If you were, there was a very easy way to get in and do a lot of the I would call busy work from a product management perspective, and not carve out enough time to really do the strategic thinking, to really get out and talk to customers. And what is going to happen is that now AI is going to automate all those things, unlocking a lot of time and a lot of knowledge, where now product managers can truly start focusing on where customer needs collide with groundbreaking possibilities. So I challenge anybody in here to flip the script, and I agree with the first speaker, is like, I'm tired of people saying AI is going to take my job. Get over that. Don't fixate on what AI replaces. Instead, embrace what it makes possible. So what is going to happen from a product management perspective is a knowledge transformation. To be honest, when doing competitive analysis and market research and all that stuff, it may have been done very thoroughly, maybe once a year as part of the annual business planning process. If you were a company that was maybe a little bit more advanced, maybe you did it once a quarter, but really truly diving in and understanding what the competitors are doing and how you're going to differentiate yourselves from the competitors. proactively looking at market shifts and figuring out what signals are starting to happen so that you can actually start to anticipate where the market is heading and take advantage of those new trends. Really diving into customer insight and all the data you're gathering from customers and NPS scores and support tickets and, user feedback log, user feedback blogs, is that product managers, initially wouldn't be able to really dig into all this and truly do a good job. But with AI, you can now do this in minutes as opposed to months. And I'm going to actually show you some of this stuff using like some of the deep research models. Some of the things that you can do is pretty amazing. So last year I was on stage, I was talking about product discovery, and again, this is the same message, is that product discovery used to mean talking to 10 to 20 customers, maybe if you were good at it. Now with AI, you'll be able to truly do product discovery continuously at scale. You'll be able to identify problems by talking to thousands of customers. You'll be able to rapidly prototype something and put it in front of those customers and ask them for feedback. You'll be able to do targeted testing where you'll be able to create and analyze experiments and do A/B testing at scale and really fine-tune what truly resonates with your users. And then you'll be able to accelerate the launch and discover and deliver working products in weeks as opposed to months. So let's talk about that. This has really been something that is gathering steam is the no code revolution. So who has done vibe coding with Lovable, Cursor, Replit, Bolt? Anybody? If you haven't, for those of you who haven't raised your hands, you need to spend a little bit of time with these tools. They all have free trials because it is pretty amazing. Andre Karpathy is the one who came up with the term vibe coding, and it basically means that you can sit down with these tools and in English describe what you want it to build for you, and it is an agentic AI solution on the back end that has been trained by all the open source code out there in the universe, and it will generate the code for you in minutes. And you will, and I'm going to show you an example of this, but the interesting thing here is that this is really being adopted very quickly. So a quarter of the W25 startups coming out of Y Combinator have 95% of their code generated by AI. 95%. There's a lot of statistics coming out of Google, and I believe even Microsoft, that's like 50% of their code is going to be AI generated soon. So this is a real thing. What does this mean? Well, there's going to be a changing composition of product teams. So where we used to have like an 8-to-1, 10-to-1 ratio between engineers and product managers, that's going to shrink. We're not going to need those large teams anymore. There's going to be a collapse of the tech stack. Where we used to have the triad of product, design, and engineering, those lines are going to start to blur between those disciplines. Because if you can harness these tools and you know how to prompt them and you know how to get them to do your bidding, more or less, you'll be able to actually start doing product design and engineering as a superpowered generalist with a whole team of AI assistants working for you. There's going to be new team dynamics where teams are going to shrink. They're going to be much more agile. They're going to be able to deliver value much quicker, and they're going to be cross-functional. There's going to be no more handoffs or siloed departments as this shift starts to happen. This is something my sister sent me yesterday, and I had to laugh. She didn't know I was doing this talk today. She knows I'm into product management and AI, but this is so true. AI is going to replace programmers. This is what everybody's concerned about. It just needs clear customer needs and detailed specs. And here's the product managers, but the customer wants a button that does stuff. So the reality is if you read about this, AI is being adopted, frankly, by the engineers faster than the product managers. And so there's some discussion about, well, is it really that engineers are going to learn how to use AI and basically move up the talent stack and be able to do the product management role? Or is it that product managers are going to eventually adopt AI and embrace it and be able to, again, work with engineering more effectively? And when I say work with engineering versus replacing it, is because that's truly what I believe is going to happen. This is from a paper by McKinsey. And I think this is probably more reality, where we're going to move from the traditional software development lifecycle, where there's discovery and validate and build and then launch and scale, to where we're going to have a very rapid iteration cycle of product discovery, where you'll be discovering and validating and experimenting, and then you'll be working with engineering to build, launch, and scale very quickly. But you're still going to need an engineering mindset that knows how to make a solution scalable, secure, performant, reliable. All those things need to, be architected into the solution. But what this is going to result in is that more good ideas are going to see the light of day. Product managers are going to deliver customer value. Products are going to be delivered to customers much sooner. The idea of product managers as the mini CEO finally comes to light. So we've always talked about this, as product managers are supposed to be the CEOs of their product. Well, with AI, they now will be able to actually take on that role more seriously. So what does this mean? Here's the paradox, though. Does this mean that product managers' jobs get easier because now they've got all this assistance from AI? And the answer is no, not really. Now things are going to happen much more quickly. There is going to be an infinite number of options that need to happen within the product development lifecycle, and the ability to quickly make decisions and have good judgment on where you should be headed is going to be a key skill. Because things are going to be accelerated and the product development lifecycle is going to be able to quickly generate features and functionality, doesn't mean that you will still generate good products, right? In fact, this may just exacerbate the solution, where you'll have products with more bells and whistles because you can create them easily. You'll get the feature bloat problem, where more features will be added to products. And if you decide to build the wrong thing, it is much more likely that wrong thing will see the light of day, because it's going to be able to be developed more easily and more quickly. So being able to really make the right decisions and figure out what is truly the right product to build that solves the customer pain point is going to become even more important. And that's where I think, it's a human doing that decision making, working with a team of AI assistants. So I'm going to actually do a little demo of something that I built in 3 hours, but I wanted to leave you with this before I switch slides so I don't have to switch back. But your path forward is you need to embrace strategic thinking. So you need to shift from knowledge to insight generation. You need to refine your decision framework and create a robust process for evaluating options. And you need to lead through vision. You really need to create an organization that embraces AI and really is a continuing learning organization. Now, before I take questions, I wanted to show you examples of what I was talking about today. So, in 3 hours, I started out with a problem. I basically said, I'm a product manager, US-based, well-funded startup. It's launching a streaming service because, hey, I want to take on Netflix, go big or go home, I know that the streaming space is crowded. I'm not going to read this to you, but this is what I started with. I have an AI assistant that I work with all the time called Gigawatt. Gigawatt is trained in all the advanced prompt engineering techniques. He is awesome. He took my what I just fed him, and he came up with, and I'm not going to read all this to you, but then he basically said, okay, I understand that you're going to go to Perplexity. I'm going to use a deep research model. I told him that. And here is the deep research prompt I want you to use in Perplexity to go do the market research you're going to do. So that's just an example of one of the key things I use. I went to Perplexity, and I literally cut and pasted in what he sent me, what he told me to ask. Perplexity came back using deep research. If you guys haven't played with the deep research models, I highly recommend it. They're amazing for stuff like this. And came back with, in minutes, a very detailed analysis of the market size and growth, the market segmentation, key trends, who the competitors are, common weaknesses across major players, viewing habits, and how they're changing. And then they came up, this is what I asked for, the top 3 most promising underserved market opportunities. And it came up with 3. One was international multicultural content. 2 was interactive and social screening, so co-viewing live events. And 3 was affordable curated family and kid platform. I went back to Gigawatt after I read through this, and here's a summary of these 3. And you'll see that they're good opportunities. The SOM for these 3 are similar. The serviceable market is similar, not too different. And so I said, okay. I went back to Gigawatt and I said, now I want to do, I'm a well-funded startup, but I know content can be really expensive in the streaming space. And, I have deep pockets, but I don't have that deep of pockets. So I want you to go do a break-even analysis for me. I want you to analyze each of these different market opportunities. Tell me how quickly will users adopt this solution? What's the churn rate of the users? How much is content going to cost? I want you to look at all of those variables and tell me for each of these 3 and come up with a break-even analysis. So Gigawatt gave me back a much more structured prompt that I plugged into Perplexity and basically went through and did the analysis for each of the 3 market opportunities. And drum roll, please. So the break-even analysis was 4 to 5 years for international, 5+ years for family and kids, but only 2 to 3 years for the interactive and social one. I'm like, perfect. Okay, I'm going all in on interactive and social then. This analysis took me maybe 45 minutes. I then asked Perplexity to put together a product strategy for this. And I said, okay, I'm going to go all in on interactive and social. Now I need a product strategy document so I can actually start putting together my business plan around this. I asked it to suggest some names of what the service should be called. I asked it to come up with high-level platform vision and concept. Who are the core users? I asked it to come up with a list of features. And so it came up with content discovery, what features would be there, viewing experience, social and interaction, and technical features. And then it came up with a phased launch approach. So this is where, there's one more I was going to hold on. I then took this into a solution called Flowbird. Flowbird's in open beta right now, free to go play with it. It is it's somewhat of a competitive product to Chat PRD. It automatically will take, and I will show you it basically takes a very high-level description of a product. So if I wanted to create a new product, all it's asking for is this. This is what it's asking for. Tell me what your product's going to do. Tell me who your product's for. Tell me what problem does it solve. So it asks for that information about your product, which I got from Perplexity, And it goes out using AI and automatically starts generating the content that you see on this board. It starts with a product description. You can have it brainstorm new OKRs. So you'll see it's currently generating, I've already accepted 2 of the OKRs, but you can, for instance, say, expand monetization avenues by launching a premium fan club. If I say, that's a great OKR, I'd like to work on that, it will come up with what key results you should be measuring against. Similarly, it can generate personas for you. So it currently has, it's generating more now, but it's generated Michael as a new one. So Michael is a 38-year-old, but you'll see I've already accepted some of them, but it comes up with a bio of the persona. It comes up with what their goals are, what their particular pain points are, how they behave, and what their motivation is. So it comes up with a complete persona. Then you can go into the feature backlog, and this is where it gets interesting. You can pick one of the OKRs that you set and say, I want features associated that will automatically support the OKR, and I want it from Emily's point of view. And you can actually then ask it to generate features. Now, I've gone in and generated features already, so it's... so you'll see here that this is a feature that it came up with, fan challenges. It will come up with a feature brief where it will give you the key description of the feature, the value proposition, what the requirements are for those features, what metrics you should be using to measure the success of that feature. Sorry, and I also meant to show you user stories. And it will also, for all you Agilists in the room, automatically generate user stories with acceptance criteria. So this, and literally I maybe played with Flowbird for maybe another hour. So again, now we're 2 hours in. So I've got my market analysis done, my break-even analysis done via Perplexity Deep Research. I've now got a full feature backlog, user story, OKRs, and personas. I then went and back to Gigawatt, and this may need to reload. So I went back to Gigawatt with that feature backlog, and I actually asked Gigawatt to, now this is one I did have to do some manual cutting and pasting. I went back to Gigawatt and took the feature backlog in, said I'm going to go to Bolt, and I'm going to create a prototype of this. And so I want you to actually take this feature backlog and generate a initial prompt for Bolt. And I'll show you that one, because that one's kind of interesting the way. Let's see. This is the Bolt one. There we go. So, hey Gigawatt, I'm starting a new application development in Bolt. I've attached my initial prompt. Now, I'm not going to show the attachment. What the Word document was basically the feature backlog from Flowbird. I said, I want you to go out and look at the best prompt engineering techniques for these no-code tools. There was a help article from Bolt. I said, using your Perplexity search capabilities, because I can turn that on, feel free to go do further research on the internet as to how to best do that prompt for Bolt. And it came back with this, which again, I'm not going to read to you. But you can see it's a very detailed prompt, as we were talking about. This is one prompt into Bolt as to what I would like to build. So I plug that into Bolt, and Bolt built this for me. Now, that little cute little logo on the top, the tagline, watch together, react together, all of that was done automatically by Bolt. It was not part of my, gamer. So this is not just a Figma prototype. This is code that was developed by Bolt. It generated this user interface, and it came up with what these were going to be: anime festival, Game of Thrones, the animation, sci-fi community, retro games. I can favorite something if I like it. It will automatically show up in my list. I can go in and join a room. Now remember, this is an interactive thing, so it knows that I'm not hooked up to a content player. So it says this is just the placeholder where the content would be. I have reactions that I can use as a user, which I asked for. I can have a chat. This is awesome. And this was all done, I vibe coded with Bolt for an hour to basically develop this. And so this just shows you, and this is something that I can now put in front of key stakeholders, users, to just, at this point, demonstrate the concept of what I want to bring to market and validate with them that it really resonates with them. So I went from not knowing at all which market opportunity I want to go after to having a working prototype of it in 3 hours. And that's the real power of these AI tools, what these AI tools can do. So from a product management perspective, it's important to really learn how to leverage these tools, because this is where the industry is heading.